So, questions, comments, reflections? Who'd like to kick off? Can I pick on someone then? Pam, I was wondering what you thought about Mary Jane's point about literature.
Actually, I was really interested in what you were saying about literature, but I actually was formulating a question for Mary Jane more so, or a comment about your idea of loss. Because what I was thinking, speaking as the, literature, big fan of Judith Butler person here, thinking about the way in which post-structuralist theorists seem to have latched onto that idea of loss. And of course, loss is huge in Freud as well, all about different kinds of losses. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the opposite of development in some ways. I mean, if there's a narrative about loss that seems to run through post-structuralist theory in a way which is a story, somewhat the same. And my, I was actually really fascinated by the paper because I think that that idea that the new sociology is trying to get rid of this idea of development, and that it somehow needs to be brought back in. The other thing, I'm sorry, this is kind of a bit of a random. Sorry, I'm not formulating this perfectly. Is I wondered how much of it has to do with language, as I probably would wonder, that when a phrase like the achievement of gender, it seems to me gets to kind of the heart of the matter. Like what's going on with Astrid is not necessarily about the achievement of gender. It's about a really conflicted way of getting to different kinds of gender positions, which are shifting all the time. So I'm sorry this is a little bit all over the place, but thinking about whether there are ways in which we need to talk about development, need to talk about those kinds of stories, but even the word development itself, as if it's toward a goal, might be where more of the problem is. So maybe, I'm not sure if other people want to respond to that. Or
would anyone else like to come in at this point?
I've just got a small comment to sort of that link to Pam's train of thought, which was, again, this is rather random, but one of the things that I was sort of thinking through and had a slight problem was almost the ease, in particularly with Astrid, of the construction of the argument in which it rendered her post-adolescence of a period of gender equality. It just became a little bit too neat. And I think, again, it might be something to do with the language of it needs to fit into that narrative of reconfiguring development with the sort of new sociology. So that's my own.
Sorry, we need more microphones here. So was the point that pre-adolescence she doesn't have gender equality either?
No, it was, sorry, I put that rather clumsily. It sort of lost some of the nuance of the sexualisation of childhood and the possibilities for gender equality, gender inequality that constantly form and reform in a pre-adolescent childhood. And it just rendered it a little bit too neat. That was my only thought.
Do other people want to come in at this point? I'm just thinking that what we sometimes do here is something called the Sussex buzz, where we just give you 5 minutes to talk in pairs or to talk in small groups and to come up with comments and reactions. I'm just wondering that might be quite helpful to do now because there's so much interesting stuff here. I think we need a little bit of digestion before we can talk. So, are people happy? We'll do that now and just spend a few minutes doing that.